Hey friends, welcome back to the Fertility Confidence Podcast. Today I have an amazing, wonderful guest that I have been dying to have on the podcast. And I had this weird limiting belief of like, oh, it's not directly related to fertility. Would people like it? But then I realized that it's so incredibly directly related to fertility. And I just had to introduce you to one of my business besties, Katie Stewart. And so we had an amazing conversation all around skin, your hormones. We talked a lot about poop and bowel movements. I feel like I made a joke when we were recording. I was like, I think I have to change the name of this episode because we've talked about poop for like half of it. But the reality is your gut, you guys have heard me say this so many times, your gut health is so incredibly important to your fertility. And guess what? It is also incredibly important to your skin health as well. So Katie is a registered holistic nutritionist. She's the founder of the Clear Skin Solution, and she specializes in helping adult women who have tried absolutely everything under the sun to clear up their chronic breakouts through her root cause approach. And Katie is someone who keeps me grounded. And, everyone I feel like has to have that person, right? That they just, no matter what, I feel like I can just go to Katie, whether it's business related, motherhood related, skincare related, health related in any way really, and get back this like non-judgmental, true, authentic, answer, solution, guidance, support, whatever it is. She always just knows the right thing to say. And sometimes it's like you don't even really need solutions. You just need someone to like hear you out and be like, wow, yeah, that sucks. And like, that's Katie for me. So I'm so happy she wanted to come on and chit chat. And I had to cut us off because I mean, Katie and I could probably jam on anything and everything for hours and hours and hours. We should probably start like a business podcast together. I think it would be amazing. But we shared today all about skin, hormones, how those things actually connect and relate to your fertility journey. Like, what can your acne be telling us about your infertility experience, and why your gut health is so important. I got deeply personal with some things in this episode. So like journey beware if you carry on. I shared some things. It's cool. We're all friends here. So I really didn't mind. And I felt like it was valuable to the experience. But if you have any questions for Katie, we share her handles in the show notes and at the end of the episode. And I'm really looking forward to hear what you guys thought of kind of, tapering off of directly related to fertility. And I hope you enjoy hearing Katie and I go back and forth and giggle and laugh at each other and just have fun, because sometimes that's, the best part of my job. So I'll see you on the other side. Hello, Katie.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm so happy. I've been thinking about having you on the podcast for so long. And I was like, how do I make this work? How do I make this work? And I was like, you know what?
It works.
Skin, hormones, like obviously this works.
They go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you first?
Ooh, okay. The fun part. So I am a registered holistic nutritionist, and I founded the Clear Skin Solution, which is our 6-month program. And it's fully dedicated to helping adult women with acne, which I know in the majority, like in our society, we always think acne is a teenage problem, but it affects like so many adult women as well. So for me, I had dealt with chronic acne in my early 20s. I had taken the birth control pill for, the age of 15, even when I didn't need it onwards. Perfectly clear skin. Thank you, birth control. Then when I switched around my birth control in my early 20s, I went like pill, IUD, and my skin went wild. Like I was getting braille-like. I explained it like it felt like braille across my forehead, my cheek, my chin. And I was like, WTF, like what is going on? I've never seen this before. Went to my family doctor. She's like, no, there's no way you switching is causing this. Like, here's a medicated cream, like some antibiotics. And I'm like, no, like, listen, it is the switch around of the birth control. She didn't listen. So I forced her to take my IUD out, went back on the pill. And that's when everything just down spiraled further. I was getting deep cystic acne on my shoulders, the backs of my arms, throughout my back, my jawline, my cheeks, my temples, and I had never dealt with this before. So it was really, really impacting my self-confidence, my self-esteem, my self-worth. Because at the time, I was actually working in television. I spent 14 years working for Hockey Night in Canada, 14 seasons working for Hockey Night in Canada. Plus, I worked on air at a local cable station where my face was on an HD camera every single day. So not only am I rubbing elbows with these high-level executives, NHL alumni, players, I'm also looking at my face and breakouts on an HD camera every day. And it was really impacting me. I spent all my time looking at lotions and potions, going for treatments, taking medications, and nothing was working until I decided to go back to school to study nutrition. And I remember reading my big, like 6-inch thick, Staying Healthy with Nutrition. There was a page on there on how the birth control impacts your skin. And up until that moment, I had zero clue that acne was anything except a topical problem. I really thought it was a surface level issue, and it was breaking down how the pill impacts the body, depletes the nutrients, impacts your gut, your liver, your hormones. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. How come nobody's told me that it's not a topical issue? And that was that really big aha moment where I realized acne isn't a topical problem. It's an external symptom of an internal issue. So I decided to dedicate my practice and really niche down into acne because I know how impactful it is dealing with acne. And I know if you've never dealt with it, you're like, oh, it's just, you're just your skin. It's not like you have like a deadly illness or something, but it really, really impacts how a person feels physically, mentally, and emotionally. And when you don't have confidence, that trickles into all the other areas of your life. So my core goal is, yes, getting my client's skin cleared up, but I want them to have the confidence back, because when women are confident, they're more confident at work, in their relationships, and parenting. And it really is this lovely domino effect.
Yeah. We like hearing you talk about being on television, like HD up close, like that literally would have been my worst bloody nightmare in my early 20s, like worst nightmare ever. Cause that's when I also, like, we had very similar journeys in the early part of us figuring out like what we want to do with our lives. And I have no pictures of me from like 18, probably even earlier in all honesty, but like in university, like I was the one behind the camera. I never let people take pictures of me. If they were, it was like it was dark at the club and I had no worries for normal reasons. But like, I would never, like, that literally gives me like the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it, because I didn't even want like my roommates to see me without makeup on. Like the girls that I lived with for 4 years, I was like, oh God, don't look at my face. Like that's how deeply impacting it can be. And it was my journey with acne that got me into women's health, hormones, and, snowballed me into fertility eventually. But I had a very similar experience where I was like, wait a second, there's like more to this than you just changing my birth control every 3 months when I'm like,
Something's up.
I don't feel well. Like, I don't feel well. I don't feel well. My body's not right. And it took me until my first year of medical school to be like, hold on a second. Like, what am I doing? This makes no sense. And like, I'm literally becoming a doctor that's going to be looking for the root cause. And here I am still slapping a freaking Band-Aid on my problem. Like, absolutely not. And so, yeah, hearing you, like, every time I ever hear you recount your like days on TV and just knowing like,
you're like, oh gosh,
oh God, that's literally my worst fear.
it was really often. And I would even, make sure that I would, if my breakout's really bad on the left, I would turn and be like, okay, cameraman, shoot me from this side. Or can we change the lighting so it's softer? Can we do a wider shot? And I just hated that I was having to think about this on top of interviewing people, because I should be focused on what they're saying, not on, oh my God, are they looking at my breakouts? Because you get that dreaded like eye flutter where they like flutter down to your breakouts and you're like, oh God, they know. They're looking. And I remember being like, I want to be taken seriously. Like, I'm 21, 22, I'm making a career for myself, but I look like a teenager. I want to be taken seriously. So for me, it was really, really important to clear this up. Like I know it is for so many of our clients, because it's impactful. And when women go to their doctor's office, they're always met with, oh, here's the birth control. Let's change your birth control. Let's try this. And I hate how often women are dismissed, which I know you will agree with. They're just completely dismissed for how they feel and given that like Band-Aid, end all be all, the birth control pill.
Yeah. And I find this is like a similar journey with my clients too, because they'll be coming to me like 6, 7, 8, 9 months off the birth control, which tends to be where, like, correct me if I'm wrong, if you don't see this, but I see that that's the timeline of like the big spikes in acne when you're coming off the pill, and that like 6 to 9 month mark. And they're like, my doctor told me, like, because I don't want to go back on the pill because I want to have a baby, that I just have to learn to live like this. And I'm like, well, here's the good news. Like, what we're going to do to help boost your fertility in turn is actually going to have a trickle down effect to your skin. It takes time, yes, but like we can get there. And that's why, like, I love brainstorming and chatting with you, because I honestly feel like we do very similar things for two completely different people, but it shows that health really comes down to how are we treating our hormones? How are we treating our gut? Like, what's our inflammation like, and digging into our personal root causes of that to get the result, whatever that be that we want.
Absolutely. And we have the same thing with our clients as they come in, their acne is bothering them, but they want to start trying for a family later on. And we're always saying, listen, like what we're doing now is actually setting you up for success in your fertility journey. But not just that, it's setting you up for success in all areas of your health, because we have colleagues that do weight loss and thyroid and every different type of issue out there. And I remember us all talking about this, like we all do the same thing. Like we're all taking the same foundational principles. It may be a little bit of a different supplement, maybe a little bit of a different protocol here, but essentially we're recalibrating the body. Like you need to get your gut, your liver, your hormones all back in check in order for your skin to do well, fertility, your thyroid, your weight, your metabolism, whatever it may be. It really comes down to those foundational principles.
Yeah. Maybe this is a secret we shouldn't actually be telling people.
I know.
Did we just give it all away? Like,
all the way. Solve all your health issues.
You want to do whatever you want to do, just, recalibrate your whole life, like easy peasy.
It's not that
It's not that complicated.
not that
Let's talk specifically about like skin and hormones. So most of the people listening, I would imagine, they're here because they're either about to go on their fertility journey, they're in the thick of their journey, and are likely wondering about how is this impacting my skin, whether good or bad, and what possibly could their skin be actually telling them about their hormones and their fertility.
So something that I've really been passionate about sharing is it's almost, people always come in, they're like, Katie, I have hormonal acne. I need to balance my hormones. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. We need to balance your hormones, but we can't get to your hormones until we've cleaned up your gut and your liver. And they're like, no. Like, I just need a hormone balancing supplement. I don't need, like, it's not my gut. I'm like, listen, if your hormones are off and you have acne, you have issues with your gut. So I think really breaking through that myth of, yes, it's your hormones, but what's causing the issues with your hormones? So in my example, and many of our clients, is if you've been taking the birth control pill for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and you come off of it, you're now dealing with nutrient depletions, you're dealing with imbalance of your gut microbiome, possibly leaky gut, which is the slang term for intestinal permeability. Your liver is definitely in need of a little bit of love. And then your hormonal balance is thrown off because you're flooding your body with those synthetic hormones and basically shutting off communication to your ovaries. So I think the big takeaway here is remember that we need to widen our scope a little bit and not stay so focused on your hormones, because your gut is responsible for manufacturing, regulating, metabolizing a lot of your hormones, including your estrogen. So if your gut's struggling, guess what? Your estrogen is not going to be looking so hot. And we know estrogen is a really key sex hormone for both acne and fertility.
Yeah, totally. And one thing, this is all I was thinking about while you were saying this. So my journey with naturopathic medicine started with me seeing an ND as my like last ditch effort with my skin. I was like fed up with the pill because that's all I was ever given. I was incredibly, like, the pill never cleared up my skin for me. And I was incredibly nauseous, like for 2 out of the 4 weeks you take it. So like 2 out of the 3 actual like active weeks, I was like taking Gravol before I went to school. Like I was like medicating my medication side effects. It was wild. And I did this for years. Like I literally was like, this is my only option. Like I have to just suffer through it. And my mom would have to like pick me up at high school, like puking in the garbage can because I was so sick from the pill. Like it was just wild. I look back thinking like, why did I like, why? Why did I
Because
do
you're
that?
told from the medical professionals that you're going to for help, this is your
Yes.
option. And you're like, okay, this is my only option. And you're always left with, oh, this is part of being a woman. It's part of getting
Right.
older. It's part of having kids. It's part of. And it's like, no, the human body isn't designed to be vomiting for 2 months out of every, or 2 weeks out of every month. Your
Yeah.
body is designed to feel good, to look good, and to thrive. Like you shouldn't just be trying to survive.
Yeah. And I just kept getting the, you'll grow out of it.
No,
You'll grow, you're young, you'll grow out of it. I'm like, but I'm also a 16-year-old girl that doesn't want to go to school because I don't like the way my face looks. Like,
you'll grow up.
can you, can you put me in a time machine then, please? Like, this is
Like,
taking too long.
and I think the thing with acne is so many people look at it as like a vanity issue. And I want to like break that down because while I don't want to use the word vanity because it gives it a bad connotation, we have to understand that how we live in a very visual society, right? Like a very visual society. Whether we want to admit it or not, we have the Instagram, we have this, we have the that, and people want to feel and look their best to put their best foot forward. And when we're invalidating how a person's feeling because they have acne and not cancer, we're not doing them a service. Like we're really just impacting their self-worth even further. So I think when we're, whether you have acne or you don't, realizing that how you feel is valid.
Yeah, so true. It's the same kind of conversation with the fertility piece about being constantly dismissed because you're too young, like keep trying, it will happen. Or, you're just, you're not, we always keep hearing this. Their doctors come back and they're like, well, you're probably just not doing it enough. And I'm like, do they like want to come home with you? Like, do they want a report card? Like, what do they mean? That's not how it works. And too much sex is actually a problem if you're trying to get pregnant for some people. So anyways, I want to go back to my funny story because it goes back to the gut piece. My ND that I saw, and she actually really helped kind of open my eyes to that connection of like what you're eating and how your gut is functioning. But she basically told me, because I've been like chronically constipated my whole life.
Oh,
There you go, world. Like that is get to know me. And so her thing was, she explained it to me, and I say this to my kids all the time now because I just think it's so funny, but she explained it to me that if your stool isn't moving out regularly and consistently, then it allows for that reabsorption of toxins and waste. Where is that going to go? It's going to come out your skin. So she explained it to me that I was like pooping out my skin, and that's what was causing my acne. And I remember just being like mortified. And I was a bit older now, like I was probably like 19 or 18. I remember just leaving, like driving home and being like, I'm shitting out my face. Like, are you serious?
I've said that.
Told me that.
I've said that so many times that what you don't poop out ends up on your face.
Right?
And
like, isn't that just wild?
I actually had my poop posts are always my most popular posts on social, on email, on blogs, whatever it may be. Poop is the number one, to the point where I had an analogy similar to that, and the post went viral. But then you also got all like, we had like a pack of dermatology students saying like, this is all ridiculous. I'm like, do you guys not understand how the human body works?
Yeah. The toxins are going somewhere. They're going somewhere. They can't get out the one place they want to go. And what's the next largest like organ that actually excretes? It's your skin. And so now we're looking at your back, your shoulders, your chest, your face, like all the things. So yeah, I've always thought everyone's going to be listening going, oh my God, I don't poop enough.
That's the thing and it's not a popular like water cooler topic. We're not at like Christmas or Easter dinner saying, hey, what's going on with your poop? Like no one knows what a healthy bowel movement looks like. And I preach this to our clients. It's the very, very, very first thing we work on with our own clients, because you can't start detoxifying the body and balancing your hormones if you're not pooping, because those hormones your body's trying to get back end up, like you said, back in absorption. They circulate throughout the body. So your inflammation's raising, your toxicity is raising, your hormone balance is getting impacted. So starting with your poop is critical. And we want to be aiming for 1 to 3 bowel movements every single day. And I saw recently on an article, it was like a medical article where it said that 3 times per week was average. I'm like, no wonder people are struggling so much when a medical document is saying that pooping 3 times a week is normal.
And like they were saying that was okay.
That was okay. They said people
Oh,
pass bowel movements anywhere from 3 times per week to 1 time per day. And
if
that's
listen up, everybody. If you
listen.
are only going 3 times a week, we need to talk about that for
Yeah.
multiple reasons, whether you have acne or not. If you are trying to get pregnant and you are only pooping 3 times a week, we need to deal
Like run to the
with
natural
that
bath. Run.
shenanigans there. Yeah. And not to mention like pooping more is going to make you feel significantly better. Cause I guarantee you, and I know this from personal experience because you all know this about me now, that you are bloated, you are uncomfortable, you are gassy. And when you do go, it doesn't actually really feel like you went because there's, still 2 days worth of shit in there that has to come out that probably can't. And now we're dealing with a lack of actual muscle tone in the colon that is making it worse because the impact to that, the stretch to the colon actually impacts the way it moves the stool through your body. And now we aren't talking about skin at all. So I'm going to have to maybe rename
It should
this
be
episode, the poop episode.
that's the thing is when it comes to skin and fertility, it really needs to be seriously looked at because it's like you said, it can be impacting their acne, it can be impacting their digestion, it can be impacting their inflammation, and being able to get it to flush out of the body is going
Yeah.
to make, like you said, so much better.
Yeah. Is there truth, Katie, to like jawline, chin acne being testosterone driven? Like, is that a hormone that people need to really be cautious about if that's the dominant form of acne that they're seeing?
So we do quite a bit of acne, what they call face mapping, and there's a number of different types of face mapping, and we will generally follow the traditional Chinese medicine face mapping. And that's where it talks about the jawline being more hormonal based, and whether that's estrogen, like we'll see a lot of estrogen, testosterone, like sex hormone imbalances. We
Yeah.
will generally see along the jawline, and they tend to be, again, not in every case, but they tend to be a little more cystic, and that's like the deep under the skin, welted, painful ones
Yeah.
would be more along the jawline. We'll typically see like lymphatic stagnation around the ears because they're not getting good lymph flow. Obviously, things in the hairline could be not washing your face well enough or shampoo. But when we're looking at, say, the forehead and the cheeks, we see a lot of stomach stagnation, stomach imbalances, and then liver, we see liver quite often between the brows and on the temples as well. Obviously,
That's
it's
where
not.
I had it really bad, like
Mhm.
in my temples when I was younger. And then for me, it was like very, very jaw, like deep cystic around my mouth. When I was in second year university, my mom took me to Cuba and I basically could barely speak the whole week because when I opened my mouth, it was so painful. So I was like, she's like, we're going to Cuba. The salt water is going to help your skin. And it did. And I was like, and she's like, you can come, you just spend 7 days with no makeup on. Like she was just like, she could tell how like it was impacting my mental health too. Right. But it was so painful that I literally couldn't talk because it hurt too much. So I just walked around like looking very mopey. And that was the big thing that my doctor kept telling me of like, well, let's try a different pill. Cause obviously we haven't like fixed the hormone problem. And then it wasn't until a few years later that I was like, this was never going to fix my hormone problem.
Never.
And me learning that and understanding it is then also what helped me through my fertility journey. Cause now I had to completely like upheaval my entire hormonal endocrine system and heal my gut and heal and help my liver detoxification and help to balance my hormones so that I could have a family. Like I feel very strongly that if I had just had a journey where I pushed through and stayed on the pill and then came off of it, the same week that I wanted to try to conceive, I would have had a significantly harder time than I already did.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's wild and that's most people's journey. Most people's journey is staying on the pill until the minute that they don't want to any longer. And now we're dealing with both an acne flare up and a fertility journey at the same time, and they're like, oh God, there's so many things happening that I don't like. Like, how do I mentally handle all of this?
That pill has essentially been a band-aid, right? And I know, like in our generation and even generation before us, the pill was like shoved down everybody's throats. Like I didn't even need to take it. I wasn't having sex.
Oh,
I
me
was
neither.
fine periods. I took it because all my friends were. My doctor's like, here's 6 boxes. I'll see you in 6 months. I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
And I took it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I took it for another decade, and I was never told the impacts and side effects that it could and did end up having on my body. And I see this with my clients, where we have clients coming in saying, you know, I took the pill for 20 years and I've been struggling now for 5 years, 10 years to clear up my skin. I don't think, like, I've tried everything, and they just feel so disheartened that I'm not going to be able to figure it out because this is just me.
Yeah.
And they're often made to feel alone in this issue because acne is looked at, like I said earlier, a teenager problem. But there's a significant chunk of women that don't grow out of acne, they grow into acne. And it's like all of a sudden we see 38-year-olds dealing with chronic cystic acne for the first time in their life.
Yeah.
And there's a much deeper rooted cause
Yeah.
going
Yeah. I've worked with a few clients in my private practice where they're like,
on. What is this?
what the hell? I'm like,
I
oh
want
yeah.
anti-aging. I want anti-aging. I don't want acne.
This is not appropriate for
Wrinkles
my
and
age.
wrinkles and
But
breakouts.
here's the thing. We need to look at it as a sign. It's a sign. Like, sure, it sucks. Okay. We're not saying like, oh, blessing, we have a sign so we know where to go. No, it's shit. We're not happy about it. But is it telling us something about your hormones? Is it telling us something about your gut? Are you actively trying to get pregnant? Those two things are so important.
Mhm.
So let's use the sign as a way to help kind of like guide us through the treatment process to the best of our ability.
And I was on a podcast recently and I talked about how I ended up being grateful for my acne. And I know when you're dealing with it, you're like, Katie, there is zero freaking reason that I could ever be grateful for my acne. What are you talking about? And
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, I get it. It would have been a little triggering for me to hear as well. But acne is such a driving motivator to clean up what's happening inside. Because if you're like, oh, I have chronic headaches, you know, I have even people with IBS, like they'll deal with the symptom, but
Yeah.
when, even though it's so painful, but when you're looking at your symptom every single day in the face and feeling bad about it, it's going to be a real big motivator for
Yeah.
you to rebalance your body because you want your skin to be cleared up. So that's why I was so grateful, because it drove me to figure what was going on. And I worked to repair my gut, my liver, and hormones. And what's really important, as we know, is when your gut, liver, and hormones are working well, guess what? You're massively reducing your risk for disease later on in life. So that's why I was so grateful for my acne, because it forced me to make my health front and center.
Yeah. It's a great mindset shift that you might not be able to make when you're in the thick of it 100%. Right. But looking back through your journey, I agree that my hope is that people will say like, look how healthy I am now because of that, and have that bit of like a perspective shift on things when they're, not deep in the mud with dealing with whatever it is, for sure. Cause you're right. Like healing those pieces are only setting you up for less disease in the
Mhm.
future.
Absolutely. And when we're dealing with acne, the skin is a window into the body, as is poop, but we'll stick to skin.
Yeah.
Your skin is one of the main windows into your body. And when we're dealing with breakouts, yes, it's common, but just because something's common doesn't make it normal.
Yeah.
And we see these breakouts popping up and it's telling us, hey, your hormones, they're in need of some love. Your liver probably needs to be detoxified. Your gut microbiome probably needs to get balanced. So really making sure that we listen to our body and listen to the help that it's asking for.
Yeah. I love that. Where should people start with their acne journey? Like what they're sitting and they're listening and they're going, oh my gosh, this is me.
Mhm.
I'm in my late 20s, early 30s. My skin looks like I'm a 16-year-old boy just went through puberty. Like, where do you start with that journey?
We always start with digestion first, as we've been talking about. We'll continue with the poop theme.
Yeah.
Always start with digestion. Simple things like chewing your food well can really go a long way. Digestion begins in the mouth. Whether you need to take some type of digestive support, an enzyme, a bitter, an HCl, but again, working with a practitioner that can guide you for the right support. Really making sure that we're removing the pro-inflammatory triggers. These are foods, and then things we're consuming that are just destroying your gut health and your hormones and your liver. So this is that standard American diet, the processed, refined, sugary foods, fried foods, fast foods, really just put those to the side. I know they taste good, but they're not doing your body, your health, your fertility, and your skin any favors. And adopting a more anti-inflammatory style of eating where we're really focused on nourishing foods. We're focused on, antioxidants like vitamins A, vitamin C, vitamin E, some zinc, some selenium, some lots of omega-3s, whether you're getting that from your wild fish or your hemp hearts, really making some shifts there. So we're focused on the anti-inflammatory diet. We're focused on improving digestion. And then the third one is going to be your lifestyle habits. We cannot supplement away our lifestyle habits. Like we need to be prioritizing sleep, getting 7 to 9 hours of consistent sleep every single night. Yes, I know you're like, but I just want to scroll and watch Netflix. I'm sorry, but it's not helping you. So let's get some consistent sleep. Not skipping meals, because so often women skip meals. They're so busy getting their kids ready, or they're like, oh, I'm going to fast and I'm going to wait until 2 p.m. to eat. No, like you need to be eating consistent meals every single day for your blood sugar. And we also want to be including some type of stress reduction practice, because unfortunately we can't all quit our jobs and go sell coconuts on the beach. We have lots going on. So we need to be including those stress reduction practices. Just putting those few things in place can have some really big shifts in your symptoms overall.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's exactly what we preach here for fertility. Like exactly. We need to look at our food. There's tons of research with the Mediterranean diet and fertility. I would assume that would also be a wonderful way to eat for your skin as well, right? So like a bit of a double whammy. We need to move our body appropriately. We need to work in that mindfulness, those stress resiliency principles. The sleep piece, like all of those are our foundational principles for fertility. And now we're hearing like that's also going to help with acne if that's something that you're dealing with. So it's a great place to start to just, again, lay those foundational principles, lay that groundwork. Yes, it's hard changing how, like, it's easy for Katie and I to sit here and be like, just change your entire life.
All the things.
Just stop doing all the things you enjoy and start doing other things. Like it's not that simple, right? But so we take an approach in FCM where it's like one small thing at a time. We make one tiny change at a time. We make that a habit, we stack. We make that a habit, we stack. Because for me, it's less about being perfect and more about this is a lifestyle. Like this is not for the next 6 months, you're going to go hard, you're going to get pregnant, and then you can just go back and do whatever you want to do. No, we're showing you how to implement lifelong health habits that are going to be so impactful for you long-term. And I don't think it's worth overwhelming people with like all of the things at once. It's okay, let's tackle this piece. And then once that's feeling better, let's add this in. And then once that's feeling better, let's add this in. We usually start with like, let's work on nutrition. And then we'll look at like environmental toxins and your skincare. Like I'm always going to Katie for skincare stuff. I'm like, tell me if this is good. Tell me if this works, please. What should I do here? And like, how do we reduce our chemicals, our chemical load, our biochemical load, and things like that? Like all of these things it can be a lot if you're looking to tackle it all at once, whether you're in the fertility realm or if you're in the acne realm, it doesn't matter, but you don't have to do everything.
No. And that's my motto I teach to every client as soon as they come in is many small steps make for one massive leap, which is literally what you just said. We're habit stacking. We're picking one thing. So I know when we look at that end goal of, oh my God, I need to be pregnant. Oh my God, I need to have fully clear skin. And in order to do that, I have to do these 7,000 things. And then you get that information overload. You get paralyzed where you are and you don't want to do anything because it seems scary. So we always say, pick one or two things that seem the easiest for you right now. If that's just drinking more water in your day, amazing. You're going to drink more water in your day until you feel great about that. Then once it becomes part of your day to day, like brushing your teeth, then we're going to add in, increasing our vegetable intake. Then we're maybe going to start swapping out our products for cleaner ingredients. Yeah. It's about small steps to get you closer to that goal every day. You don't need to be doing things all at once, because as I'm going to assume your journey was similar to mine, where I didn't just wake up one day. I was like, you want to know what? I'm going to do all of these things. I'm going to cut out these foods. I'm going to eat this. I'm going to take that. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do all these things, and just did it perfectly.
Right.
This journey for me was done over 3, 4, 5 years. Like
I'm
it was
still on the journey.
we're all still on the journey.
I've been on the journey for a long time. Yeah. And that's what I like sharing with my clients too. Is like, I'm not perfect. I'm
No.
not perfect. You don't need to be perfect. We're always allowed to be a work in progress, and things change, and you're going to fall off the pretty wagon that you're on or whatever. Like, it's going to happen. The part of the journey is also being able to say like, okay, how can I, get back on, but maybe in a way that serves me better now. Maybe we take a few steps back and move in. Maybe we have to tweak some things to make it feel easier and less stressful for you. Like these are okay. Like these are okay thoughts to have. We always just need to come back into our own body and say, what do I need in this moment?
Yeah, I love that.
And that is in and of itself can be a game changer for some people. What do I need in this moment? Oh, you know what? Have I had any water today? No, that's a true story. Okay. It's 2:40 p.m. I've had 0 water. Do as I say, not as I do. That's so bad.
I literally poured my first cup of water today to come like, oh, I should have that because I'll be talking a lot. Oh,
yeah.
Any water yet today?
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah.
Not good. So like, if I were to not be doing this right now and I were to sit and say, Kelsey, what do you need in this moment? Like, I for sure need a drink. I'm thirsty, but I've been nonstop since I got up this morning that my body can't tell me that signal. So working this in, every hour to just say, what do I need in this moment? Sure. We all need an all-inclusive beach vacation. Okay. I'm probably going to say that to myself every time I ask the question, is that realistic? No. So like, what else do you need, Kelsey, in this moment? It's, do I need to get up and just like take a lap in my office for a second? Have I been sitting for too long? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Do I need a handful of nuts? Like, do I need a snack? Do I need some water? Do I actually need to lie down for like just a hot minute and reset? Like, that's how you start actually habit stacking without knowing you're doing it, right? Because the habit is checking in with yourself, but what you're doing following that check-in is likely one tiny thing to move you closer to your goal, unless your body's telling you to like go eat a king size candy bar.
Don't listen to that.
We don't love that one.
That's the devil on the shoulder. Listen to the end.
So always like filter your thoughts.
Filter a little bit. I think that's great, right? Is asking and I'm going to steal that. I'm going to start asking myself, all right, Katie, what do you need right now? And another thing that I love to really preach is it's about progress and not perfection, because we so often hold ourselves at that unattainable standard of perfection. But even you and I that do this day in and day out, we're not perfect. Like you said, haven't drank water, forgot to take my supplements, didn't eat before I went to Pilates today. Like you have to just remember to keep going, and you don't need to be perfect every single day, because we live in this world. It's crazy. There's hectic, there's work, there's family, there's schedules, and really giving yourself that grace and patience.
Yeah, totally. We're human, right?
Yeah.
And I think once you just like acknowledge that, like, that's okay. It's okay to not be perfect. It takes some of the stress off, like, especially with the fertility journey. All that stress isn't going to disappear. Even when you get pregnant, that stress doesn't disappear. If anything, I think it gets worse. But if we can just take some of the pressure off your shoulders of this thought that you have to be incredibly perfect or it's never going to happen for you, you have to be incredibly perfect or your skin's never going to be clear. Like, that's actually you adding undue pressure to your body. And if we cycle this back around to like how that's actually impacting your stress system, okay, now we're actually looking at that pressure maybe impacting your hormones, possibly impacting your gut. And now we're right back to where we started, being like, oh shit, my gut and my hormones, like they're not doing so great, right? Like we're riding this carousel, and we need to just start sticking like stop signs in the carousel every once in a while. And that's how over time it's going to slow down. You're going to actually get off of that carousel, and you're going to start having those habits in place to help you with whatever your goal is in your health journey.
And I think the stress is such an overlooked thing, even though we all know that stress is super impactful on our body. we really don't. Like we
Yeah.
acknowledge it, but we just brush it under the rug. Like, oh no, I'm just going to take an adrenal complex and like it's going
Yeah.
to be like, I
That was
just
literally me this week.
I'm going to adrenal complex this away. Don't
I'm
worry,
just going to take an extra adrenal complex and I'll just keep working. It'll be fine.
it'll be fine. My body's not screaming at me. But we brush off of this because it's that psychological component, right? And I have seen the most miraculous things happen when people finally include stress reduction practices in their day, when they include the mindfulness. And I'm not saying you need to spend 3 hours a day meditating and going on nature walks for, a half a day. It can be small little things like a 3-minute breath work exercise, doing the one thing I can see, smell, touch, taste, hear, like getting yourself present in that moment. And you can have such profound shifts in your health from just working on your stress and your mindset.
We doubled our pregnancy rate in a year by doubling our mindset resources and management in the program. And then we doubled it again by adding more. Like every time we add more mindfulness and mindset and stress resiliency help to our clients, more of our clients get pregnant. There's a direct correlation. And it's wild to see. Cause I'm like, at the end of the day, the physical body stuff that we're doing, like that doesn't necessarily change. Sure, some new research comes out every once in a while. We tweak some of our favorite products based on those things, but like how we're helping from like a gut, inflammation, egg quality, sperm quality standpoint, those physical medicine pieces are pretty consistent. But the more we've pushed people into therapy and the mindset work and the stress resiliency, the more touch points we've given our clients in that arena, the more pregnancies we've actually had. It's been so fascinating to watch.
And like you're making babies, like you were making babies over there. And the fact that just the simple thing of improving the mindfulness and self-care piece can have such a big impact on this outcome. And we noticed the same thing is, we teach all the same things, gut, liver, hormones, foundations. And when we added a registered psychotherapist to our program, it massively helped clients get their goals quicker. The ones that actually showed up to the calls and work mindfulness, they're able to reach their goals a lot quicker with a lot less stress.
Yeah, because they're bought into the principles more, probably, right? Like your mental health can hold you back from changing your habits so much. And that makes sense. Like if your emotional wellness is low, if you're not feeling well, you are not making the good decisions at your meals. You are not having the healthy snacks. You are likely not moving your body. You're probably not going to bed at a great time. You're probably doing a lot of doom scrolling. Like we're not treating ourselves well if our emotional resiliency is low. And when you've been on a fertility journey for quite some time, like that is logical. Like it makes sense that that's happening to you. And so sometimes in order for you to actually make these changes, we actually need to work on your mental health first.
Huge.
And then you're like, oh, I'm feeling a little bit better. I actually made a salad with my dinner today. And like, I went and picked up some like yummy Greek yogurt and some berries to snack on instead of my cookies. And I'm like, yes, you did. Like, look at you go. And what did we do? We helped you release some of that pressure, release some of that stress, step back into your body and actually gain that confidence again that you've been lacking because this hasn't been working consistently. It's brilliant. It's something I not that I resisted like earlier in my career, but I think I just didn't comprehend the degree of impact that working on mental health can have. And lots has changed for me in the last 6 years and my own personal like wellness journey and getting more into like, how do I treat my body with the utmost respect, especially mentally, not just physically, and being able to kind of circle back and be like, how will this help my clients? And then watching the evolution of that is so fascinating.
I think it's really incredible, the fact that just working on the mental health can have such a big impact. Because like you said, is when you're in a happier mood and you're not as stressed, you're like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go for a walk. That sounds fun. But when you're so stressed, you're so burnt out, you're tired, you don't want to do anything, you're like, that bag of chips and the couch is looking real good right now.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Like you don't want to go and do the things. You just want to have the world leave you alone completely and hide in your blanket adult fort.
Yeah. And once in a while, that's fine. I love me some Miss Vicky salt and vinegar chips. Like I'm not sitting here saying we don't ever do those things because that's not true. But are we doing that every single day?
Mhm.
That's something that's not how we want to treat our body. There's going to come a time through your cycle where, yeah, Netflix and a bag of chips is self-care for you.
That
And
was
that's
me yesterday.
okay. Yeah.
I'm like, here's my bag of chips and I will be watching this for the next 4 hours.
Yeah. Leave me alone.
Nobody's my
Yeah.
phone.
Mute Slack. Yeah. Like there's a time and a place where that makes sense. Like that is reset. That is productive for you. But if we reflect back to like the last 4 weeks, what does life look like? Has that been a daily occurrence? Are you avoiding, your social life, your personal life? Is there other things that you should probably be doing, but you don't have the drive to do it? Like these are signs that it's not laziness, it's mental health. Like we have to be working on your mental health. And if we're working on your mental health, we're working on that stress, that in turn is actually balancing your hormones. That is actually impacting your egg quality. It is actually impacting your skin. And it has nothing to do with how many pills can you shove down your throat 3 times a day and, all of the other plethora of things we could be doing. I'm not saying that's all you have to do because I know there's some people out in the world that believe like, as long as we believe it will happen, that's all you need. I don't subscribe to that. I think it needs to be a mixture of both the physical and the mental. But the issue is most people bypass the mental part because it's uncomfortable.
It's not fun.
It's not fun. It's not easy. Like
No, the hard part, like eating the foods and taking the supplements
feels easier. Yeah.
I say this with air quotes because it can be a challenge, but it's easy. The mindset work is not fun because, and again, I don't know if you see this in your fertility practice, but I find in past emotional traumas that we're just storing in our body somewhere that we've pushed deep down that we don't want to like think about, it's having really big impact on your health, even though you may not be actively thinking about it. But if you had some type of physical, psychological trauma in your past, emotional trauma that you're pushing off, your body's going to start to manifest physical symptoms of that. So really working through the mental health, the past issues, it's such a crucial step, and don't overlook it in favor of the easy things.
Yeah. You can't out supplement a bad lifestyle and you can't out supplement your mental health.
I noticed this, like I knew this obviously, but really recently for me, I'd say in the last year, like I was really struggling with burnout, bouts of depression, higher anxiety, and I'm really, really struggling with my mental health. And I've been working with my therapist going weekly. And she was finally like, Katie, you need to take an hour out of your day. If you can, I work from home, a little bit easier for me. Take some time out of your day to start doing some simple things. So I made a commitment that as soon as my kids are off, before I even open my laptop, I'm going to spend 30 minutes where I'm going to journal. I'm sitting in front of my red light and I do like a minute of breath work and 5 minutes of meditation. I'm usually done within 20 minutes. Just that one simple thing that I've done has had such a profound impact on my mood. My anxiety is much less. I haven't had any bouts of my depression. I've been able to keep my mood at an even keel. I haven't gotten irritable. And it was all from just including 20 minutes of self-care consistently in my day for last month.
Yeah.
And even my chronic pain levels have gone down because my nervous system isn't so fried.
Right. And you're not like this all
like
the time.
Angry all the time.
That was me yesterday. Tuesdays are private practice day. And I came upstairs and I was like, I literally sit here like this for like 6 hours. I'm like, this is not good. I've been working all day. Like, we don't have to do that anymore. I have a very long neck. So if you haven't actually seen me before, you can come on YouTube and check out my long neck. Tyler calls me Littlefoot. I was my Land Before Time nickname. So yeah, like when you can't see my neck, there's a really big problem because it's not short. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's end it there on my freakishly long neck so that everyone can start wondering, and maybe want to know what I look like with my weird long. It's not actually that long, but people.
I wouldn't say you have an obscenely long neck by any means.
I'm here telling you all about my personal stories about my body and my neck. because we're friends and that's cool. So Katie, my friend, what's one fertility tip you want to leave for our listeners today?
My one fertility tip would be what we just talked about is make your mental health a top priority alongside eating the foods and taking the supplements. Make your mental health like the top thing that you do in the day, because it's going to have the biggest impact on your overall health. Because when your mental health is good, you're going to be more inclined to do the things, to make the changes, to get the results.
Yeah. You're also going to be able to better handle the disappointments as you go through the journey as well. I love that. I feel like it's funny. I should go back and listen to interviews because I do feel like most people's tips are something around that general aspect, even if they're like here to talk to us about like testing or hormones or something like not mental health specific. So there's a very big theme that we are seeing and it's so important. But Katie, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I feel like we could have talked, obviously we know we could have probably talked for hours and hours because we basically do that every day anyways. How, if people want to learn more about their skin journey, want to learn more about you, where could they find you?
You will find me on Instagram at Katie Stewart Wellness, same website, but I spend a lot of time on Instagram.
You do. Yeah. She was editing a reel as we popped into the Zoom room today. And I'm always very envious of Katie's reels because her TV career definitely gives her a leg up.
I always say I spent 20 grand on a journalism diploma to make Instagram reels.
You know what? It serves you well. So you're using your degree at least.
Using my degree.
Good. Yeah.
On Instagram.
All right, my friend. I'll put all that in the show notes for everybody and hopefully we'll have you back again soon. Okay.
Thanks, Dr. Kelsey.